This is going to be weird without music, because usually I have music in the stream, and it's going to be just like silence and then talking. Be just like, so we'll see how that goes. It might throw my rhythm off a bit with live streaming, but it's live now. Maybe I'll share my screen in here just so it's like live. There we are. I'll wait for a few people to drop in on the stream and all that before I start talking. Before I start yabbering. And I'll put the link to the stream up in... Hey, it's not the 22nd, it's the 27th. I have to edit that. Edit. Title. July 27. Save. Okay, 3 people. What's up, guys?
What's up, everybody?
What's up?
See how many people pop in. I gotta get the link to it and then drop it in my Discord. And I might drop it in your Discord too. Why not? Because then everyone gets it. A lot of people are still interconnected. Stream. Okay.
Yeah, put it at everyone.
Yeah. Isaac, Carlos, Bellucci. What's up? Okay, where's my Discord? Discord's here. I used to be so fast at this, like, you know, dropping the link in. And I have to think about it now. I'm not so fluent. I've lost all my, I'm rusty. Yeah. Okay. There we go. So that's an at everyone through Crypto Down Under. Hawk Tour Trading. Nice.
Yeah, that's just
And
the
then
name today.
That's a working title. At everyone. I'm live. Through emoji. There. Okay. We're trading. So let's zoom out. Let's zoom the hell out. Let's go weekly. And we're on Bitcoin. I'm gonna hide my key levels. And YouTube, you might notice that I don't have the music on today. I just want to test something out. I want to see how that goes. Because YouTube has been throwing copyright claims at me and demonetizing my videos. So it just says like ineligible for monetization. So I'm not getting any of the ad revenue. Or if I am, it's like a fraction of what it should be. So no music. We'll see what it feels like. It might feel a bit weird. But here we go. 6 people. Smash up
Why
the
is it
like
getting
button.
weird in the general?
Yeah, why is
You
it
guys
getting
are
weird in
weird.
the general? Okay, from a week, the last 2 weeks, the prior 2 weeks were really good. We bounced off that that low of what was it, 53.5? About that, 50. Let's say 53.5, just rounded out, and that provided us with the C touch of our falling channel here. So we've got like this descending channel. We had A, B, which produced a trend line, and we connected with it at C. So now we've also got topside action activity. So let me go to the daily chart, zoom in a little bit. We've also got, I'll do numbers at the top. We've got, you could almost argue that was a 2, but I'll call this 2 here, where it actually connects with the channel. And then 3 actually busts through it, and 4 did too. We've got 5 reacting off that line. Now, the 5 proves to us that we have our 1, 2, 3, 4 in the right place, or at least we've got this channel line in the right place. And it also harmonizes with our bottom touches down here. And that's how you know you're working with the right channel. So I think that pretty much is the channel that a lot of the market would also see right now. And currently there's a fight. If we go down to like the 4-hour time frame, you can see we're still beating up against this channel. And so far we are double topping on it. And we're just waiting to see if we get that breakthrough, crush 69,000, crush 70K, and get up on top of it. And that's where we're at. Structure wise, from a market structure perspective, we've got a series of lows. Okay, this was a low here, yeah? This was a lower low. So market structure to the downside. That's what the market's telling us is what's going on. You've got, let's call this a high, and then all of these were just lower highs coming in one after the other. So typical downtrend. I think everyone's on the same page with that. Lower high, lower high. Then something happened. We started getting higher lows. Higher low, higher low. I'm going to call this an equal low, but its structure is still in, the integrity is still there. It's still an uptrend. And this was the last line in the sand for flipping and breaking structure to the upside. So when we broke through here and got through this price level, we flipped the structure. We changed the character of the direction of the market. So now we've got, this was the lowest high at the time. Then we've got, oh, higher high. That's a new feature. And then another higher high up here, so on and so forth, yeah? So this is the highest point that we're working with right now. And now we're basically eclipsing, we're meeting that high, and it's like, and not only that, we're meeting the previous high, but we're also meeting the channel, the top of the channel. So all of these important levels are getting tested right now. We've got 69,000, which was our 2021 all-time high. We have to come and test that. That's around, let me just turn my levels on. I'll get rid of all the brush strokes in a second as well. So we've got the 2021 all-time high, and then we've got our all-time high, which was set in, was it this year? It was this year. Yeah, it was March. So let me get rid of all the squiggles. And so yeah, structure is to the upside. There's like an inverse, you can probably say there's an inverse head and shoulders that is cooked out. We need Vivamort because he is like the head and shoulders guru. He's sort of always like focusing on it. But we've got something like that at the moment, I think. So I reckon there is a trend line somewhere like this. And to give credit to Kabir, I saw that he had the same thing going on in what he was sharing in your Discordia choir. So yeah, I reckon that neckline coming up to visit that is going to be another key test if we can break through here and see how it marries up with 69K and 70K. That's interesting. That's cool. All right. So that's enough about structure from now. I think we are, so from a 4-hour chart perspective, we're in an uptrend. No doubt about it. Yes, this was a downtrend. Yes, it was. Yes, you could have been short, all that good stuff. But that has changed now. We've bounced. And I think there's optimism has come back in for now. But we really need to break through these to carry on, obviously. So that's the market structure. Let's go to the moving average. I want to check that. Let's go to SMA, just the simple moving average. I'll hide the 50. We'll just focus on the 200. I'll hide these levels and things because that sort of gets in the way a little bit. We don't need the channel or trend lines, just the price. Just the price and the moving average. So on a daily, the daily 200 simple moving average is a very popular average to follow the progress of and the behavior of. Since the FTX drop, look how small that looks, by the way. FTX happened all the way back here. I put a little post about that in the community. So at the time, we felt very like that was the end. Like this was the beginning of like the worst, loss of value that we've seen in crypto since all of this hype train that was up here. But look at where we've come. Like this was this point here where we crossed that and got back up on top of it for the first time since back over here. We spent all of this time below. All of this time was bear market despair, capitulation, pessimism. But when we got back on it, when we got back up on top, that should have been the green light where optimism and hope was back in the market. This shook us out. This was like kind of scary. This was like, okay, this was just a relief rally. Yes, we've just double topped. We're going to probably come back down now and test these lows and shit. But the cool thing is, we held and look where we are today. So we've just done a dip and it basically springboarded us back up onto trend. Same with this one. Look how violent that is. Look how violent the reaction was off that dip. So maybe there could be an average that it's actually more so adhering to. Let me wind this up to like 250 or something. 250 day. What does that do?
That's the wind-up sound.
Do you get touches? Maybe 300's a bit too far. Yeah, 200 to 300's a bit extreme. Maybe 250 is a bit more in touch with where we're getting action. See how we've got all these bounces? We've got a bounce here, kind of rough support here, and then a really nice bounce there. But that's a 250 moving average. Anyway, just interesting to see where we're at in respect to the moving average, the big daily. And then remember the weekly, if I turn my 50 back on and we go weekly chart, remember the death cross scenario that we were in? We death crossed here and we're like, shit, man, that's never happened on Bitcoin before. And it's like, what does that mean? Everyone was like, is that it? Bitcoin's never done that. We're fucked. Like, we're screwed. And here we are today, like extremely high. We got a new all-time high. The ETFs are approved. Everything's looking up. And it golden crossed pretty damn quick after the death cross on the weekly. So I feel like we escaped danger there. And everyone's on a different page now. I don't think anyone's feeling bear markety at this point. I think everyone's still pretty much on the edge of their seats about what happens next. There's a bit more excitement still. And we're only in what? Q3? Going into Q4 will be interesting with the election and all that. So yeah, I'm still, just to sort of like sum it all up, I'm still very much bullish overall for the cycle, like for what's going on. Like, I don't think we're due to come in and set in a new bear market. There's been some, if I just quickly switch to the S&P 500 just briefly, that has been a little shaky because look, we've had this trend line. We've had 1, 2, probably 3, and then it's been threatening to lose this trend, this uptrend that it's been in. Like, at least the trend line, not the trend, but the trend line. That's been kind of scary. Like, we dipped down there for that day. But yeah, see if it goes back into price discovery or whether it's whether that's all she wrote for the time being. Anyone else want to have a crack at analyzing stuff? I'll share your screen. YouTube will be able to see you. There's only 8 people on so far at this point. It's probably like most of us.
Yeah, I mean, I can just kind of show to some degree what I'm looking at.
Hey, and then after that, can we do Unda?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, share your screen and I'll put it up and you can just wing it. You can just go for it.
All right. Give me 1 second.
Can I make little noises?
If you want, dude.
Thank you.
Just trying not to be too disruptive, I guess.
Let me pop you out in a box. All
Why?
right, there you go. Go for it.
So I was trying to see what Kabir was talking about here, kind of, but I guess it wasn't really what he was looking at.
Inverse head and shoulders. I think he was looking at.
Yeah. I mean, if we zoom out to the daily, I mean, clearly we've been in this range for a few months now. I'm sure that's no secret to anybody. But we've been beneath the previous all-time high. For today is day 135. So for 135 days, we've been below the previous all-time high. So I mean, that's more than 4 months that we've been below the previous all-time high. I kind of am leaning towards a bit of like a bearish, not bearish sentiment. Like obviously the market looks kind of bullish. I mean, if we're talking about what has happened, we had this sort of double top here. We sold off below the bull market support bands. This is the 20-week EMA and the 20-week SMA and the 21-week EMA. You sort of bounced off of I guess I wouldn't really call this a trend line, but I mean it exists there now. We don't even really need that to be a part of the analysis, but this is basically where you bounced at the bottom of the range, came up. You had these existing levels here before, like this sort of existing kind of like area of value, I guess you could say. When you came back up, you did reject from the bull market support bands. You lost the 200. This is kind of more so like a trend line because you already hit it twice, and then you kind of hit it dead on right there a third time. And we did, find support there and bounce back up, ended up buying back above the 200 daily SMA. And this is where I started to kind of, started to get a little bit more on the bullish side. And I was saying like, hey guys, there's liquidity up here, like all the way up to 68K. And I put that like in my technical analysis channel over here on this Discord. And ever since this point, really, when you start to close above the 200 SMA, the bullish bias has sort of remained. You did have a flip of this this SR level right here, around 63.6. Let's say for like a good even round number. And then you also bought back above the 50 daily EMA. But yeah, you broke through this, kind of had this support resistance flip at 63.6, this previous top. And when when you bounced off of that, you made a higher high. And then came down, bounced off the 50 again, had a nice hammer, and then yesterday's candle that just closed is really basically pretty green, and you're just sort of battling with that previous resistance level. Like you can see, there was a lot of resistance and consolidation back here. Everyone was pretty bullish before like that double top sort of got put in, and there was a month of downwards price action. This was like the whole Mount Gox fears and sell off and stuff. Like in Germany was selling all their Bitcoin and whatever else, but I mean, this sort of trend line area was broken to the upside. If you see that as sort of a trend line area of resistance was broken at the same day that the 20 or 200 daily SMA was broken to the upside. So now as it sits, you're above the 50 daily EMA and the 200 daily SMA, kind of had this support resistance flip multiple times off of this 63.6, which I would say this is maintaining bullish structure. For all intents and purposes, it is maintaining bullish structure. But you have this area of resistance here, this consolidation that you're fighting with at the moment. Now, I had said back here when I drew this fib down here from this recent local swing high to this swing low where we bottomed out, you're also breaking above this 618, which, gives you that bias to at least test the zero line, which you actually flipped as support. So, naturally, when you have that SR flip, you'd expect that, you're going to extend to at least the 1.618, which right now would be around 70,200, 70,300, somewhere around that area. So what I'm kind of looking for, now that we have a bit of a bullish stance, as far as intraday goes, and stuff like this. I was kind of tracking this sort of. There was multiple trend lines here that I was tracking. You know, there was one there, and sort of one here. That it was staying above this more immediate one, and then lost it. And when it lost this one, and you look closer, you can actually see that it rejected off of the bottom of it, along with the bottom. I'm on the 1 hour chart now. You know, you kind of rejecting off the 1 hour 50 EMA.
Daily.
You had that sort of death cross thing happen there around the local swing bottom, which was that support that ended up coming in at 63.6. And then, you know, you also were building a bit of structure over here. So now that we've got that, I mean, you did lose this trend line, so I thought things were looking pretty grim. If you were to come up and sort of reject from this area and then come back down and lose this as support and reject, like I figured that would have put more of a bearish bias on it, because you had this rejection here and then a slightly lower high, and you continue to go down. So I figured at this point, when we lost this, we were probably gonna go down a little bit more. But it ended up holding that support and bouncing, and it's actually bounced pretty violently. I don't know exactly why. I mean, I'd say it's probably like a more immediate thing is that you have the Bitcoin conference coming up, and President Trump, or former President Donald Trump, is going to be speaking there. So that's, you know, I guess inherently a bullish catalyst, and, you know, could be partially responsible for this move up, like, you know, along with, you know, trying to hold some bullish structure above these points here, and flipping it here. But that is a pretty nice violent bullish bounce. You know, another thing that I was talking about, which I can't really show, but another thing I was talking about down here was like how basically there was a lot of liquidity built up in these areas, all the way up to 68K, 68.5. There was like billions of dollars when we were down here. There was like billions of dollars in short liquidity building up around these levels, and that started building up even way back here. So I think that with this big move up, there was, you know, as everyone knows, like some things that like sort of shook the market. Like some catalyst was the Mt. Gox, the Germany selling and stuff, and then, you know, people were starting to get catch wind of the fact they were running out of Bitcoin to sell, or they were, you know, didn't intend on selling any more Bitcoin. So that, I think, was a bullish catalyst. Also, we got the flip, you know, that whole assassination attempt on Trump could have also had its hand in like being sort of a bullish catalyst here for, you know, some pretty like strange reasons. But yeah, like the market can be pretty irrational when that type of stuff happens, and there can be big impacts, whether it be upside volatility or downside volatility. But nevertheless, it did appear to affect the market, and, you know, perhaps it's coincidence, or it's just it was strange timing or whatever. But it just so happens that in these time periods there was, you know, it did affect the market. Now, aside from Trump getting assassinated, aside from Trump having an attempted assassination, aside from that, you also got the news that Joe Biden was dropping out of the race to be reelected for president. So he's dropping out of the race for president. And a lot of people see that as bullish because for most of his term, Biden was pretty bearish on crypto. So a lot of people have the idea that a Republican president is going to be inherently better or more bullish for crypto, and then especially if it ends up being Trump that's elected, it will be a really bullish sentiment for crypto, because he's become much more pro crypto, you know, in recent times. You know, so in the recent past, Trump has become much more pro crypto. than he was before, or at least has been much more vocal about crypto and being pro crypto. So a lot of people saw these series of events as, you know, if Biden is dropping out, because Biden wasn't really pro crypto, if Biden's dropping out of the race and Trump is more likely, they see Trump as more likely to win the election, then people are going to start seeing that as a bullish catalyst. So I think a lot of that news is also sort of responsible for this move up. Also combined with the liquidity that was built up, the short liquidity that was built up. Also, I mean, this was a clear area of value, I think, to a lot of people. Aside from the sort of capitulation that started to take place, like the fear-based capitulation because of the Mt. Gox and Germany. Aside from the fear-based capitulation that sort of took place there, you had a bit of a deviation below the range low, but more or less, it's, at the range low, people are seeing this as an area of value. So all those things combined, I think, is sort of really responsible for this bounce. And another couple things that I felt like I should mention as far as people wanting to buy in is, if you look down here at the RSI, the daily RSI. So first, second, hide the stochastic RSI. And we have the daily RSI here. And this is something that I actually wish I got out, and I meant to make a video earlier, but didn't have the chance to because I just had a lot on my plate at the time, been dealing with a lot. But if, you take a look at this, we made a lower low in price, and then we also made a higher low in the RSI. The RSI went below 30, for a couple days. And then when you made a lower low in price and a higher low in the RSI, that's bullish. That's bullish divergence. So that bullish RSI divergence on the daily, I think, also had a lot to do with it. And when you look at if I bring the stochastic up again, and these are things that I also, sort of posted and spoke about briefly in the technical analysis channel. The stochastic RSI, if I hide the regular RSI, you can see that you made a lower low in price and also a higher low on the stochastic RSI. So I also think that those things are responsible for the bullish move up. So I was pretty convinced that, and everyone was getting really bearish at this point right here. Everyone got super bearish and everyone was like, oh, it's over, blah, 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 we're going lower. Everyone's going to capitulate. And as a general rule of thumb, it's like, try to be on the opposite side of what the majority is thinking. So like if everyone is screaming one thing, everyone is screaming, oh, we broke the previous all-time high, we're going up, we're just not going to stop going up. Everyone was saying that around here. Everyone was super bullish around here. Nobody was bearish. And then again, nobody was bullish down here. Everyone was super bearish down here, especially like falling below the 200 daily for, a few consecutive, closing below it for a few consecutive days, almost a week there, of closes below the 200 daily SMA. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So not actually more than a week that you were closing consecutive daily candles below the 200. Everyone was pretty bearish. So, I mean, that kind of told me, hey, because everyone's so bearish, because there's so many open shorts, and so much short liquidity building up, we're kind of off sides. There was too much of an imbalance there. So I figured right around here, I was saying, I think we're going up from here. Because naturally there was just too many factors to say that to, sort of rationalize or justify a move up. I thought we were going to have trouble with this area here and potentially get a rejection here because it's a 20-week SMA. And losing it, I mean, if you go back in time, losing it is really not a great sign. You did lose it for a while back here and then got back above it, so that was really no big deal. But generally in a bull market, you want to hold above it. I mean, looking at these other sort of bear markets, when you fell below it and lost it for an extended period of time. It ended up turning into the bear market. If you go back here, we lost it for an extended period of time. That was a bear market. This was sort of like a bit of an isolated bear market for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, let's just call it like 3 to 6 month bear market. This was a COVID collapse, so you can't really count that because that's sort of a black swan event that wasn't really isolated to just crypto. But however you put it, 3 to 6 month bear market here, and the first kind of big red flag was losing the 20-week SMA or the bull market support bands, if you will. So I was really assuming that we were kind of going to do something similar to this. Maybe not such a huge, drastic, lower low. Not exactly the same, but something pretty similar. And Benjamin Cohen actually talks about this a lot, the bull market support bands and what he thought happened back in 2019 and how he thought monetary policy was really similar to back then at that time. And I'm sort of inclined to agree with him on that. But you do have these times where you lose it for a while, you lose the bull market support bands for a while, you get back above it, hold it as support, and you have another leg up. So I'm expecting it to be sort of a combination between what happened here. You lose it for a while, get back above it, go back up. A combination between that and sort of this type of thing. I was expecting it to be like sort of a medium between the two, or maybe even something more similar to this, where you lose it just temporarily, you get back above it, and then you fly. So we could be at that stage where, you lost it for a little while temporarily, you get back above it, and you push back up and you fly. I'm not really prepared to commit to that idea as of right now, because even though I am macro bullish, you would have to have sort of that confirmation, right? So this area here is really kind of gonna be the area to beat, because if you get above this level here, you're kind of taking out these highs, and any short liquidity that existed is more or less taken out. Like, if people have the good sense to close their shorts early, or if they get stopped out, or if they get liquidated, that's in any case, that's going to cause upwards price movement. Obviously the all-time high, you want to beat that, but this whole level here, this area here where there's these relative equal highs, you had trouble with it through this whole section, this one sort of a double top here. So my bearish case, I guess you could say, my bearish case would be, we really only make it back up to this trend line here, and whether it be earlier or later, and then we come back down. If we do end up losing this, maybe we find support there, give it another try, or maybe we come down and lose this level again. Now, I would see enough reason to believe that, given that the 200 SMA is in that relative area, along with this previous 618, which we don't really know where it's going to top out at, so I wouldn't really want to draw a fib for this price action. Say it does top out there. Just hypothetically, say it tops out around here at this trend line. You have a 618 retracement at about 60K, so it's really at about that same level. So ideally, this would be the level that you would want to hold if you want to see a bullish bounce and flip this support again. Maybe you give it another try to go up. And if we break this range that we've been stuck in for months now, if we break that range, historically speaking, you pretty much go up only from there. So, that is a possibility, and I think that's one scenario. Or the other scenario that I have is So the bullish scenario would be basically breaking the zone, like 70,200 to 70,000 or 71,600. You would want to get back above there and really hold and break if we want to go into price discovery, which it has been about 4 months since the halving at this point, or well, 3 months. It's been a little bit more than 3 months since the halving, I guess. And you typically get 4 to 6 months of sideways price action after the halving in pretty much every cycle, most cycles, I should say. Not every cycle, maybe. The other bearish case, the bearish case that I have is rejecting from this area, losing this support again, coming down, losing this area of support, flipping this and rejecting. You could go down, till September, October. And I'm expecting to land like somewhere between 46 and 50K. But I mean, I think that that would be sort of long and drawn out. I think it would be more of a sharper correction. We hang out down here and then we go back up. And then we break the top of this range, or we break this trend line, and then we break the top of this range, flip it, and go into expansion at that point. I mean, you could like 56. I mean, I'd say we'd probably go if we were gonna come down, we might even threaten to make a new lower low, so it might be like a bounce there, and then come back up like that. If we were to go down this low, which I mean, wouldn't necessarily. Most people would probably see that as not healthy, but if we were to go down this low, there's plenty of reasons to think that there should be a buyback. Given this area here, this consolidation here, you got that coming your way. And when you really zoom out and look at it, I know my chart's pretty messy. I apologize for that. But when you really zoom out and look at it, it would almost be forming like a perfect bull flag type thing. This is actually my BTC all-time history chart, so it's a little bit different than what I have drawn on my other chart. But yeah, you kind of have this sort of look going, which would look like a massive bull flag. So I mean, if that ends up being a bull flag, then like say hello to price discovery and expansion, and I think Bitcoin will ultimately go a lot higher from that point. Like the price target for a measured move is well above 100K. Like we're talking about 114. You've got this trend-based fib extension that brings you up to 122,000, and then you've also got just this regular fib level that's at 102,000. If you draw a regular fib from peak to trough, the 1.618 is at 102,000. So kind of seems like it, where so many people have been calling for 100K Bitcoin for so many years, really. It seems kind of like, I don't know, serendipitous is the word, but it seemed kind of weird and convenient that if you draw a fib from peak to trough here, then you get that 1,000K number. But I mean, where I kind of sit on it is that if we're supposed to get rate cuts in September, then yes, like despite this really bullish looking move up, it's also worth noting that you've had a lot of really strong wicks, really sharp wicks bouncing off at the bottom of this range before. Now you've got full candle body closes down here. So although it does look pretty bullish on when you zoom into the smaller time frames, you also are getting weekly closes below the bull market support band, albeit only one or two. Like, although it's only one or two that have closed below it, and you've gotten the rest above it. I mean, these previous two candles are looking pretty bullish at the moment. But I mean, also just leave room for the idea that you didn't really touch the 50 weekly EMA either, and I'm sure if the 50 weekly SMA was on this chart, it might be a little bit lower than that. So, also like leave room for the idea that something like this could happen where we sort of get exhausted and then we come down for another couple months into this area and then bounce, and then you'd have like 3 or 4 perfect touches on this bottom trend line. You'd have 3 or 4 perfect touches on this top trend line, and this would actually kind of be a falling expanding wedge or a descending broadening wedge, however you want to put it. It would kind of be something like that more than just a descending channel, although it is really kind of more or less a descending channel. I think it would kind of be more like a descending broadening wedge, but that's one scenario that I'm trying to remain open to the possibility that we see the lower 50K range or like maybe even 50K and bounce from there if we were to reject from this level, which I'm not quite sure we have the momentum to push up through this level. As of right now, I'm not sure if we have the momentum, but one thing that does give that a little bit more weight is that you have this weekly stochastic RSI bullish cross. Now you had a bit of a fake out here because you just went back to the top of the range and ended up ultimately rejecting with a double top on the daily, and you put in a lower high here in both price and in the stochastic RSI. But when you bottomed out again and you had this bullish cross up, we did get back above this 20 line. So you've got the fast line above the slow line, and that shows momentum to the upside. And if you can continue to close this stochastic and we above this 20 line and it doesn't just droop back down like it did back here, then that could give us the momentum that we really need to continue to push up and possibly from here, if you continue to make higher lows and you end up breaking this range and holding above it, we could be going into expansion and price discovery like a little bit earlier than I might expect. But that's depending on if we have momentum, because if you zoom out to the monthly, you are sort of losing momentum on the monthly, and that's pretty clear in the stochastic on the monthly. Another thing with the weekly RSI is the traditional RSI, not the stochastic, but the weekly RSI is above 50. Oops, what did I do? The weekly RSI is above 50 again, which is a pretty good sign when you're looking at strength in the move. And I do still believe that we're in a macro bull market. So whether or not we go up now and break the range and go into price discovery, that would be probably extraordinarily bullish because it shows that there's a lot of interest in Bitcoin at the moment, and you're holding above these sort of monthly ranges, which if you put a line here, these are the highest monthly candle body closes back in 2021. You can see you're building some really good structure above this yellow line here. That structure from 2021, you're closing above pretty much with almost every candle aside from this one. With pretty much every other candle, you're closing above this level. You did have this big wick down, but look, it ended up being a wick. So you were down here for a while, but it ended up just being a wick and being bought up. So does it have the momentum to just push up and continue and go up to these higher price targets up here? Like 80, 85, like 100, 120K. Does it have the momentum and the strength to go up there now? I'm not sure. As they say, markets can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent, and I think that goes for upside and downside. But it's perfectly natural within a bull market to, after previous all-time high for Bitcoin specifically, after a previous all-time high or after halving, it's perfectly natural to go sideways, to have some sideways or downwards price action. For several months, and also given the fact that we're in an election year, and September during an election year tends to be a pretty volatile time for markets, and they can be pretty rational. Also, the fact that we could be expecting rate cuts in September, or many people believe that interest rate cuts are going to be arriving in September. Now, depending on who you ask or what kind of environment we're currently in and the current monetary policy that we have, depending on who you ask, some people think it's bullish, some people think it's bearish. I kind of think it's circumstantial. Like, if they're cutting rates because we're in a recession, then yeah, the market's going to fall. But that doesn't really seem to be the case here. It's sort of for other reasons that they're looking to cut rates and ease up. And when they do cut rates, they start quantitative easing and They start injecting money, sort of back into markets, and that creates a risk-on environment. So, for that to be a real possibility or probability in September, I think that without anything, completely devastating happening with the economy, I would probably lean to the bullish side, that it's going to be a bullish catalyst. But there's also a lot of people that say, oh, well, every time rates are high and they cut rates, the market crashes. But like I know Rick always likes to say, is it correlation or causation, or what did you like to say, Rick? Causation is not correlation.
Yeah, like correlation doesn't necessarily mean causation. Like with rate cuts, they happened around the time, but there's a bigger thing at play, so it doesn't necessarily mean that that it caused it. A good analogy for it is the fire truck analogy. So, at a house fire, when there's a house burning, you're likely to see a fire truck at the scene of the event, right? Trying to fight the fire. Now, because the fire truck is likely to be seen at a house fire, you can't just point the finger and say, "Look, it has to be the fire truck causing the fire," right? Because it's always at the scene. It's always there. No, it's just that is there as a symptom, or it's because of the house fire that the truck's there. So in reference to the markets, a big nasty crash, which is like a house fire, I feel like the rate cuts are like the fire truck trying to ease the tension and ease the devastation of the crash, because high interest rates put strain on the economy, and you don't want a strained economy when there's a crash, when there's some kind of market crash. You want to ease that up to alleviate, the disaster. That's my sort of angle on it, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. That's a beautiful analogy, Rick.
Yes.
Yeah. I definitely agree. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yes.
It's
good.
But yeah, so anyway, like all that aside, chart wise, I mean, yeah, we've had this bullish move up. You've had some consolidation. There's room to move up a little bit more. Will we get rejected or not? I don't know. Some other things that I saw that were sort of put me on the bearish side in the short term, and I'll try to wrap this up quicker because I've already been going on for a while, and I know that Dirty wants to. I mean, I can also take a quick look at the altcoin market and just give you my opinion on that. I know that Dirty also wants us to take a look at Unda, but one more thing that I wanted to mention is this started to sort of develop on the shorter time frames. If you look at the 4 hour and the 1 hour and almost everything below, this sort of thing started to develop where you're getting a higher high in price and a lower high in the RSI. And that's bearish divergence. And not only did it happen, let me take this off. Not only did it happen with the regular RSI, the traditional RSI, But then it also did happen with the stochastic RSI as well. You were getting
Yes.
higher highs in price and lower highs in the stochastic. Now, since then, it looks like it's more or less been resolved because you had this sort of correction, which another reason why I kind of wanted to make a video back around the 20th, 21st. I wanted to mention this, and I'm about a week late on that, but I was saying, in the group that I'm expecting a bit of a correction from here. And that was sort of my reasoning for it, was this bearish divergence. So it looks like it sort of resolved itself on the 4-hour for the stochastic, but you can see the stochastic might be starting to turn over again as well, where we're at right now. I think it sort of resolved itself with this correction here, because that wasn't like that was like 7% correction, between 7 and 7.5% correction. So I mean, that could have resolved it, and maybe that's as bad as it really gets. But that bearish divergence did emerge, and if you kind of make a trend line like that, you could end up getting back above it, this line, and you end up putting in more higher highs on the RSI, and that could help the price a bit. Or maybe we just sort of get like a double top type scenario here, or maybe it comes for one more higher low and then pushes to this area. But those are just, I don't know the future. That's just sort of what I'm looking
that's
at.
where the speculation has to kick in. It's like from there you're just sort of like, oh, you're taking a punt.
Yeah.
But
I mean, also
it feels like what that divergence has provided, we've resolved it, and now it's like, okay, what are we building now? And there's not enough information to know, at least from a divergence perspective, like where we're going to go now. Like we have to cut some behaviors through the charts before we see how it's going to relate to the RSI, I reckon.
Right.
Need some
and
time.
You did have this, I wanted, exactly. Yep. Time will tell. But I also wanted to try to put some content out right here. And
all about the dip.
I mean, yeah. But I've had some distracting things going on.
It's all good.
Recently.
There's going to be lots of market action
yeah.
to cover.
Yeah, I want to try to stay up to date as I can from now on. But yeah, I've had the pretty swift recovery off that level, but the question still remains, is it really going to push through? And the last thing that I wanted to mention was just that Bitcoin conference thing that Trump is supposed to speak at this weekend, I think tomorrow. We could be running into that, like in a more short-term sense. We could be running into that and rallying into that, and that's like a short-term bullish catalyst. But more often than not, I've noticed with these conferences and these conventions and stuff, we could run up into it, but then we fall either as it starts or while it's happening. The price action is usually down. I've noticed that more often than not. That's usually the case. So also. What's that?
Buy the rumor, sell the news.
Yeah, exactly. Buy the rumor, sell the news.
And he talks at 2 o'clock tomorrow, Kwai. He talks at 2 o'clock tomorrow, 30 minutes before the close of the Bitcoin conference. Sorry.
All right.
Continue.
Sweet.
So what was that?
No, you're all good.
What was that coin you wanted to know about, Dirty? You should look at that, Kwai. Or if you're ready. If you're ready. Ondo.
Yeah, I definitely want to look at that. I just to take a look at this is others market cap. Okay. And we sort of lost this structure here, and I figured we're okay as long as we stay above this. And then we fall to here. This is where we ended up ultimately finding a local bottom, and now you're back above this okay sort of level, and it looks like you bounced from it. Which, if Kabir, I don't know if Kabir is listening. But Kabir, this is another reason why I figured it was good enough to buy, even though I was buying a lot back here. I figured it was well enough to buy a little bit more when considering that sort of support resistance flip that took place here. And you could be working with a bit of an inverse head and shoulders thing there. I mean, zooming out a bit, just to talk a little bit more about what I kind of expected to happen was this this yellow line here is the 1450-day SMA, and you bounced right off of it, and you had pretty much a V-shaped recovery, broke this local high, and now you're attempting a higher low. So you have a higher high attempting a higher low.
So could it
so I
become
mean that's
an inverse head and
yeah
shoulders? Yeah, could be.
yeah, like this could absolutely like become an inverse head and shoulders right here, and you get like you
Potential
break out of
breakout
this
the falling
descending
wedge.
trend line.
Yeah, fallen wedge right
Yeah,
there.
I mean,
Looks good.
yeah, here, let me just delete some of this because this is like so
Busy.
this is crowding up the chart so much. Yeah. But you still you've got this 0.5 over here from where we came up to and bottomed out.
That trend, that's a
So
big like that. You can't count
yeah,
on
this
it
big
breaking
trend
out.
line
You have to
here.
let it. Yeah, it's like you have to let it tell you what's going to happen, sort of thing.
I don't even
If
know
it break,
why this one's over there. I guess I should have closed my I should have cleaned up my chart a little bit. The 200 weekly SMA, I think I've got that as a note here. So if we go there, yeah, so it looks like you bounced pretty well off the 200 weekly SMA as well as the 1450-day SMA. And drawing this fib from the bottom of the bear market low to where we most recently topped out back in March, you got a 618 retracement right there at 183 billion. Now, this is others market cap, and what others market cap is just it's basically the total crypto market cap, but excluding the top 10 cryptocurrencies, like the current top 10 cryptocurrencies. So yeah, had a nice bounce there. We'll test. We'll see how it tests and reacts to this trend line here. And if we do have a bigger dip in Bitcoin, we might have a double bottom type scenario, or maybe dip even a little lower, and then recover. Really, more so a double bottom type scenario, and then you have this bigger trend line that's sort of at as your last line of defense. Oh, I actually have a trend line drawn there already, but you can see that it kind of lost this trend line, and I believe you were losing the 200 daily SMA there at the same time. So this is where I was like, oh, we're doomed. We're going lower. And, you did end up dropping another 30% and on altcoins and like 30% in the other market cap. So, I mean, that translated to a much bigger drop on a lot of your smaller market cap altcoins. The smaller market cap, the more they got devastated, most likely. But a lot of them got pretty trashed. So you're still below the 200 daily SMA. We'll see if we can come up. If you flip this, we'll see how we react to this trend line and this previous 382 and the 200 daily SMA is right there. Maybe we come down for a double bottom. And then eventually, if the whole September scenario plays out, we kind of follow this path where we go into price discovery for the altcoins on the post-halving year.
Bloody hope so, man.
Yeah.
Would be nice.
The post-halving years is typically when the altcoins really go parabolic and we have this big altcoin season. But I mean, I think a lot is riding on the election and the rate cuts and all this type of stuff. September, the summer lull like phenomena. I mean, summer will pretty much be over. They say sell in May, walk away. And then come back in October, buy everything back. September back in September. And so I'm sort of working off of that. Maybe we get a breakout sooner rather than later. But as far as right now, nothing's confirmed for me until we get past this area here.
Yep. Because it could be very violently rejected. Yep.
Yeah. And you've got this, like you said, this falling wedge almost sort of looking thing, and
yes,
that is a
bullish.
Breakout.
It is a bullish structure textbook. So keep your eye on it. Yeah. It might not break it here. It might be later on, but either way, that is a bullish structure, and you will. But in time, that will break out at some point. I think. That's my perspective on it. Let me look
we
at.
We could see lower lows on others, and then higher lows on some altcoins, or we could see, higher lows on others, and still see lower lows on some altcoins. So it's an index. It's not really like. It doesn't decide the entire, like the health of the entire altcoin market, but it gives you some sort of idea as to, like, your the health of, like, the more, not the most popular ones, because obviously it excludes the top 10, but the underdogs. Really, it gives you a bit of an idea as far as, like, the overall health of those coins. And
Yeah.
I mean, this, regardless of whether it breaks out now or a little bit later, like Rick said, I mean, it is a bullish structure, so that's worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah. I'm gonna look at Ondo. If
yeah, go
we
go
can,
for it,
yeah,
please.
you can just chime in. I'll open the screen up. I'll open the chart up for it. Ondo. Now it's a crypto. It's not an index. So Ondo on. Let's just use the Binance chart. Ondo USDT Tether perpetuals. All right. Yeah, I've got some TA off it from here. It's still in a downtrend right now. It hasn't broken up just yet. This was the last point. This is the last high from this series of highs. And you have to get above here to break this back to an uptrend. However, you have this pivot, and now, there's a little hint that this could become a higher low, like the first higher low. But this is important to break the structure back to the upside. So this would need to start trending up and then get above this last high here. So that's the high that matters right now, is this one. Because this is still a lower high over here. So locally, actually, if you zoom in on, say, like the 4 hour, you need to deal with this high here too. And that's just the first little step. Because otherwise you're still very much heading in this direction. And that's what I see. And then also keep an eye on, for Ondo, this trend line here. To remain optimistic, you need to maintain that as your, higher lows on this macro view. Because the ones that seem to matter to me are that this whole sort of zone, we'll just call that one big bounce. And then we're working on another big sort of bounce here. And as long as that sort of theme continues to go in this direction, I think on the high time frame, you're still okay. But yeah, dude, this was a violent move. Coming up this high and then violently coming down. That's very volatile. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I've got
It broke out of that trend line.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got sort of, I like how you have that drawn. I've got something, when I just opened my chart, I've got it drawn just a little bit different.
Pop out. Yeah.
So I had this fib drawn from here to the top, this local top here. And this is Ondo versus Tether on Binance perpetuals. So I guess that's what I was charting it on the last time I was looking at it for Dirty. Which Dirty, are you here? I don't even know. I don't even know if he's present right now. I think he's in the room, but I don't know if he's able to respond. But
he can always watch the stream back if he wants. Oh, there he is. Yeah, he's there.
Oh, all right, cool. So yeah, this I think I had, it looks like I connected these 2 points here, and I just saw this wick up as a.
Interrupt you real quick.
Yeah.
Can you give me some numbers? Because I'm not looking at chart right now. I'm doing something else while listening to you. Can you give me some numbers also?
Yeah.
Like, you hit quasi.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll try to keep it a little bit brief just for the sake of Rick's stream here. But yeah, this I believe I connected these two prices here, which is $1.48, and then the second one was $1.29, and I connected that trend line there, and I guess I saw this wick up to 146 as sort of a deviation above that line, but more so this is the line that I see being respected, and it looks like you kind of struggled with it a bit. Like you really fought to get above it here. Like, when you came up to this $1.11 area, you kind of fought to get above it. When you did have this bigger correction, you came down to the 0.5, which is at 93. So that's a 0.5 retracement from this swing low here. It's 193, and you also have a fair amount of support structure built up from recent local tops. I was saying that around $1 would probably be because of these three local tops, that would probably be an area of interest, which it was here. But inevitably you put in a lower high, like Rick said. So, you get lower lows, lower highs, lower low, lower highs here in a downtrend. You did ultimately come down to almost the 618 at 80 cents. But it stopped short at, what was the low of this wick? 84 cents. And that's the right around the 21 weekly SMA. But this is, again, the bull market support band. You can see how nicely it held above it here. And then also this structure, this green structure, sort of, oops, I didn't mean to move that so much, but this box here, you can see that the price action sort of respected that pretty well. And at the moment, you're working on putting in this higher low here at, get out of my way, this higher low here could be coming in at 91 cents, 91.22. So basically, like 91.2 cents. You might get a higher low there. And then, Rick obviously has his trend line drawn a little bit differently. I think he had his trend line drawn like this. So if you look at it like that, and you're counting the downtrend starting from this point, then you did break, you bounced on the bull market support bands, you broke that trend line, and you came down and then retested at the top of it and made a slightly higher low above, the previous low from July 8th. And you're still more or less resting above the 0.5 fib. So you could look at it that way. If you broke this trend line, came back, retested it, that's a sort of a bullish take on the same sort of area of trend. But if you look at it more like how I have mine, it looks like it respected it, like it kind of came up and struggled with it twice and then rejected again. So we'll see if it ultimately gets back above it. And this is the 50 daily EMA. I think the 200 SMA is way over here. It's still developing, I think. Is that the... Nope, that's something I drew. So yeah, the 200 daily SMA, I don't think is really developed yet, because there's not enough price action on the chart yet. But another reason why I saw there could be some resistance up at this 112 area is because if you look at this sort of mega trend line, when you go back here, this trend, it was following this trend pretty nicely, lost it here, dropped a little lower, and then came up, and you rejected from the bottom of that, and then also this descending one on the top as well. So,
hey, sorry to butt in. I'm gonna wrap the stream up, but obviously, if anyone's watching the YouTube channel that wants to hear the continuation of further TA from Kwai, just obviously he's in his Discord, so feel free to drop in there. I'm pretty sure the people that are watching, the 9 people that are watching, are part of our community anyway. I'm pretty sure.
yeah.
Unless there's not, I mean,
Yeah,
put it in the comments. But seek me out if you want to find out where he's going to keep talking from. But I need to pop out. So
I'm gonna wrap it. I'm gonna wrap it up there. As far as Unda, that's pretty much what I wanted to say too. But yeah, this to make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to Rick's channel, Crypto Down Under. Rick mentioned that we have a community of traders. Also, check out Beat Crypto Live. They have a 24-hour live stream over there. A lot of the people in our community of traders are over there talking. They have a 24-hour live stream, so make sure you check them out. But also, yeah, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button.
Hell yeah! All right.
Down Under. We're gonna keep trying to bring you some content more regularly.
Yeah. All right. Have a good night, good day, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Yeah. Have a good night, YouTube.
Bye, you too.